Good morning, everybody. Great to see you all here this morning on this Monday, February 8th. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, my name is Bettina Swigger, and I'm the CEO of Downtown SLO. And each week on these calls, we have a group of representatives from different areas of our community to come together and speak about the COVID-19 emergency is why we kind of started these calls, but it's definitely evolved into more of a community conversation about how we can all support our businesses and each other during this time. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us if you are here every week or if you just join in periodically. We are also streaming this live on Facebook in our Downtown SLO business group. That is a private group where we encourage you, if you are a member, to join that group and engage in conversation with us. We also have some members of our Downtown SLO board of directors. They are pictured here, and thank you to all of you who serve on the board. We really appreciate you. We do have a meeting of our board of directors just specifically in a closed group setting tomorrow morning, Tuesday, February 9th at 7:30 a.m. And to those of you on the board, if you're listening, I did send out the board packet last week. Let me know if you did not receive that, and I'll see you bright and early in the morning. We are moving into our board of directors election season, and each year we open up voting to our membership to vote on the candidates who will best represent them to serve us as we move through the work of the board of directors over the course of the year. The board of directors supervises me directly. As the CEO, I report to the board and also oversees the policy and governance of the organization. And this year will be a very important one as we continue to move through the pandemic and emerge from the emergency. So we have 5 candidates for the board of directors this year, and you can see them here on your screen. We have running for re-election, we have Stephanie Stackhouse from SLO Yoga Center, we have Mark Rawson from Copeland Properties, and we have Fareed Shahid with 8020 Group. Running for re-election but has taken a couple of years off is Stephen Patrick from Stephen Patrick Design and the Blade Runner Salon and Day Spa. Stephen served in this capacity for many years. He's been on and off again the board for a long time, and we're looking forward to seeing him run again. And we have a new member running for the board of directors, and that's Jessica Russo, who is one of the owners of the Flower House, a fantastic restaurant in downtown SLO. So we will be sending out our ballots for the board of directors election. Those will go out either late today or early tomorrow. We're shooting for late today, but depending on how the day takes us, you will receive an email in your inbox from Election Buddy. And that election will run from the time you receive the ballot through March 2nd. And the new board of directors will start their term on April 1st. So thank you, and look out for your ballot. Rachel, let's have you take it away.
Thank you, Bettina. As of Friday, 18,467 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in SLO County, with the city of SLO accounting for 3,410 of those cases. And since our last update, we've lost 26 people in our county, bringing the total number of deaths due to COVID-19 to 168. Our hearts go out to those who have lost their life to this virus, as well as their loved ones. Testing is available, and you can visit readyslo.org to learn more. And we do remain in the widespread purple tier. It's encouraging to see the case rate decreasing, and we really hope that that trend continues as we each continue to do our part. With that, Bettina, I will turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you very much. And I did want to just briefly touch on some of the federal and state relief programs that are ongoing. The Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, loan is now open. So if you applied for this during the first round of PPP, you can get your Paycheck Protection Program loan forgiven, and you can also apply for a second loan. Check with your bank to determine your eligibility or apply online. I'm delighted to say that Downtown SLO, as a 501c6 organization, is now eligible for the PPP. We were not in the first round, and so we applied and were successfully granted that loan, which has really made a difference for us to get through the next 6 months. The California business grant results were announced. If you were put onto the wait list, which, full disclosure, we were as well, and I've heard from a lot of folks that they were also put on the wait list, you don't need to reapply. The second round opened actually last week, and there were some confusing emails that came around. Lendistry was the program for which you apply online for that program. And I know I personally found it to be a little bit misleading. They would send you one email that said, you don't need to go online and check your documents. And then they would send another one that said, make sure to check your documents, even though they're all correct. So keep reading those emails, but we are getting some better guidance from the California Office of GoBiz about what that is going to look like. So we hope to hear some more about what that future relief is going to look like going forward. And in good news, early in the morning on Friday, an additional $1.9 trillion in federal aid was passed by the US Senate, and that includes $350 billion to help state and local governments, which will be really critical as we come out of this time. It does include direct payments to individuals, and you may hear a little bit about in the news about means testing for whether that will be for people who made under $75,000 or under $50,000, but there are going to be direct payments to individuals. So as you're planning on some of your assistance for your employees, or if you're looking ahead to some promotions around maybe encouraging people who have that money, they might want to spend it in a way that's meaningful to the community, i.e. supporting local businesses. It also means that there will be expanded unemployment benefits, which has been a huge challenge in the state of California. We were reading about some very sobering figures about almost 1 million people who are waiting for their EDD claims with the state of California to be addressed. So we know that that's going to be a challenge. We hope we'll have more detail about that. And then there's also going to be federally mandated paid leave for workers, and some subsidies available for child care costs, which, as we know, this has disproportionately affected women, and it's disproportionately affected parents, and also other communities who are dealing with child care issues. So with that, we'll always keep you posted, and we have a very special guest with us this morning. We wanted to learn more about the public health reality, and specifically about what's going on with the vaccines in SLO County. So Michelle Shoresman is with us this morning. Michelle, thanks for being here. Oh, we got you on mute, Michelle.
Sorry, I tried to unmute myself. It didn't work. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hello. Good morning.
Hi. Well, thanks for having me here today. Especially we pulled this together last week, so I'm glad I was available. And I have some slides to share if I can get the authority to do that. Let's see. Okay, hopefully you're seeing my screen now.
Looks great.
Okay, so again, just to reiterate, my name's Michelle Shoresman, and I've been serving as one of the members of the Public Health Information Team since the beginning of the pandemic. I serve predominantly as the media liaison, but I'm also doing quite a few of these presentations, just trying to get accurate information out there and be as transparent as possible about what our county's public health department is doing with vaccine distribution locally. So I'm just going to run through these slides. I've got about 6 or 7 slides, and then hopefully have a couple minutes for questions. We have 2 vaccines that we are distributing at our 3 county distribution sites through the Public Health Department. Both the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines were approved for emergency use in December of 2020. They are, for all intents and purposes, basically interchangeable to the receiver. They are both about 95% effective against getting severe illness from COVID-19. They have a few little minor differences about them, mostly for back-end distributors in terms of the requirements for freezing and for distribution and the amount of time that's recommended between the first dose and the second dose. The Pfizer vaccine's earliest time when you can receive the second dose after the first dose is about 3 weeks, and the Moderna is about 4 weeks. But other than that, as long as you get either one, if you get the second dose within about 6 weeks of the first dose, then you should have that 95% efficacy rate with either vaccine. I think it's pretty clear at this point that vaccine is one of the most important tools in the toolbox to getting us through this pandemic. I wouldn't say that as soon as you get vaccinated, you can go ahead and begin traveling and throw away your masks, but it is one of the key tools that is really going to help reduce our hospitalization rate and hopefully our death rate, and hopefully start to get us back to normal when we can get a reasonable amount of the population vaccinated. To help with some of the really difficult decisions and sort of the hair splitting, I would say, with the distribution process and the different phases of vaccine distribution, we have assembled a vaccine task force. I'm betting that a few people that are on this call might actually be on that task force, but it is represented by a pretty large spectrum of the community. There's a few sectors listed there on the slide, including emergency services, religious leaders, homeless services organizations. We've got some transportation providing organizations, really trying to look at the big picture of what our county, what are the specifics as related to our county in terms of high risk groups, prioritization of vaccine, again, splitting the hairs between those subgroups within phase 1A, phase 1B, et cetera, of the CDC and the state prioritization lists. Here's where we are right now. Currently, we're vaccinating those 75 and older in the very top tier of phase 1B, as well as healthcare workers and those who are taking care of those in long-term care facilities, our local EMS providers. Those all qualify as part of phase 1A. And up next, we'll be looking at other groups within phase 1B, looking to the state as well as our vaccine task force, again, to split hairs on, with limited vaccine quantities available, who and what groups are most at risk so that we can help prioritize them to get the small amount of vaccine we have available first.
Michelle, can I ask a question about that slide?
Sure.
I'm curious about the term frontline critical infrastructure workers. Does that include people who have been working in essential functions and have been going into their place of work, such as restaurant employees or retail workers who've been in circulation in the community throughout many stages of the pandemic?
Yeah, so that's the devil in the details, right? There are a lot of different groups that are essential and have been considered essential throughout this pandemic. We've been trying to get more clarification from the state about which particular sectors are going to be considered essential and how they will be prioritized. So that is, again, one of the things that has been a big topic of discussion in the task force meetings. And we are receiving a large amount of public comment from people that want to advocate on behalf of many of the sectors you mentioned, retail, grocery store workers, food and ag, education, those serving the disabled or the homeless. Those are some of the conversations that are occurring at the task force, and the types of feedback that we are getting from the public and the task force is reviewing. And we're also continuing to get greater clarification from the state. The state has now said that they will prioritize a few of those subgroups. And again, the devil is in the details. We haven't received the exact language from the state about what those next groups will look like and how those tiers will be laid out. So it's a combination of local decision making, but also we end up in the end, as always, deferring to what the state is going to require us to do.
Thank you.
So vaccine logistics, when it is your turn or a family member's turn that you are assisting to help get their appointment, there is a website, recoverslo.org/vaccine appointments, that you can go to make your appointment. You can also call our phone assistance center. That phone number is 805-543-2444. And they can help people who don't have access to the internet or the ability to make an appointment online, make those appointments. You will be asked to show some sort of proof of age, especially if you are qualifying for vaccine under an age group designation. For example, right now, those 75 and older, so they must bring some sort of ID that shows what their age is. And then also something that shows that they are a SLO County resident. It can be a local ID, it can be a utility bill with a local address and your name on it. If you are qualifying under a sector-specific group, then we'll want you to provide some sort of verification that you are part of that sector. For example, healthcare workers should bring their employer's ID badge or a paycheck stub or something to that effect. I know that for some people that are caretakers of individuals that qualify as healthcare workers, that has been a barrier, and we've sort of worked through that on a case-by-case basis when people don't have a paycheck from a known healthcare organization or something to that effect. We've worked closely with Tri-Counties Regional Center and some of the organizations where caretakers might be able to get that evidence, and providing letters from those organizations, things like that, to prove that the individual is in fact somebody who falls into that sector age or that sector group. This is a couple of screenshots from our vaccine dashboard on recoverslo.org. These are last week's totals to date. Doses provided to the SLO County Public Health Department or provided by the SLO County Health Department to individuals. The state also has a dashboard. They are able to get more quick information about some of the other providers in the area, local pharmacies, Dignity Health, that are providing vaccine. And so they're actually able to, on the state's website, say how many doses have been given to date from all the different sources that are providing vaccine. And I just looked up their dashboard, and as of today, they say in our county, 35,911 people have been vaccinated. And then our local vaccine dashboards are updated on Mondays weekly at about 1:30. So the numbers that you see before you will be updated this afternoon to include data from last week. So where can you get the vaccine? We have normally 3 sites. For the last several weeks, we've had 3 sites, but this week, because of low vaccine supply, we've had to temporarily close the Paso Event Center and Arroyo Grande High School. And this week only, we are only vaccinating at the Cuesta College site. We are doing first and second doses at Cuesta College, just a smaller amount because we were informed last week that we were getting a lower than requested allocation from the state. This is again one of the benefits of the task force conversations. RTA is present in our task force, and because of their participation in these discussions with the task force, they were able to offer free rides to people who need them to get to their vaccine appointments. So we're trying to get that information out to those who might not have transportation to get to Cuesta or to get to the fairgrounds or to get to Arroyo Grande High School. And last, this is just a slide showing all the different ways that you can engage with the public health department and with the county to make sure that you have up-to-date information about vaccine availability and about just all the different resources that we have on our website, including our recorded public health information line and a link there at emergencyslo.org/subscribe, where you can sign up for email updates on either vaccine or on the COVID response in general. So with that, I'll take any questions or comments or suggestions, whatever you have for me.
Thanks, Michelle. There are a couple of questions in the chat, but I'm going to take this opportunity to ask a question I've been wondering about. What does somebody receive when they get the second dose? Is there some kind of a vaccination card that shows that they are now part of the vaccinated lucky, or what does that piece look like?
Yeah, you get when you get your first dose, actually, you get a small card that says what type of vaccine you got and the lot number. That's part of our tracking system to make sure that everybody, you know, that everybody knows when they come back for their second dose what they need to get. Generally, if you start out with Pfizer, you're going to get Pfizer. If you start out with Moderna, you're going to get Moderna for your second dose. So you will get a card. It's a small, you know, little bit bigger than a credit card that has that information on it, and you can keep it for your records. We also recommend that people take a picture of it in case they lose it. And so, yeah, you'll have that. It also gets recorded in the state vaccine registry that your dose was given and what type and what lot number and all the pertinent information.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, thank you for that. We have a couple of questions in the chat. One is, are there vaccines going to waste at the end of vaccination days? Presumably this is related to some national news stories we've heard about people showing up to get the last doses that get.
Yeah, we've had lots of questions about this and lots of concern, and I can tell you that we are doing everything we possibly can to not throw away doses. So we have a process by which people who are working at the sites are first offered those doses, and then we have a list of folks that we've prioritized because they fall into those tiered phases that we keep available. And we start, if we happen to have a vial at the end of the day that still has doses remaining, which quite frankly does not happen very often, because as we get towards the end of the day, we start only drawing up vials for the number of people that are there present at the site. So, but once you open a vial, you have to draw the whole vial. And so if there are less than 5 or less than 10, depending on how many doses come in that last vial available, then we first again offer them to the people that are working at the sites, and then we have a prioritization list that we use to distribute those doses.
Great. Another question is, why are there not more vaccination sites? And it sounds to me like there's not enough supply right now because you're having to close them, but is there a plan to open more? And what's the ratio of like vaccine to be given versus the available sites?
Yeah, so like you said, right now this week, the reason we've closed the Arroyo Grande and the Paso Robles sites is because we just did not get the vaccine that we had hoped for this week in order to really maximize the efficiency of 3 full sites. When they are fully activated, the 3 sites together will be able to do 3,000 doses a day, or we are planning for 15,000 doses a week. We have not gotten to that level yet with the vaccine supply that we've had, but that's what we are hoping to do. In addition to that, when vaccine becomes more available, we are hoping that more providers in the community will be able to step up and provide doses themselves. For example, already on our website, we have a few other pharmacies and organizations, including Dignity Health, that have signed up as vaccine administrators and completed that registration process with the state. So we hope that people will eventually be able to go to more places that they are typically comfortable going to get their vaccine, and not specifically just have to rely on the public health department, county sponsored sites.
Great. Yeah, I was talking to a friend who remembers getting the polio vaccine on a sugar cube going to a major stadium in LA back in the day. I mean, I would love to volunteer the Fremont Theater or Mission Plaza as a vaccination site if there were, enough vaccine to just give out to the public that way. So maybe we'll get there at some point during the course of the year.
I think we're definitely hoping to do that. I hope, I also personally hope that, this is a way that people can get connected to the greater healthcare system by finding a primary care doctor or a pharmacy that's close to them, that they're comfortable going to, that they can, get that vaccine from as well. It helps connect people to healthcare in general.
Great. Well, thank you, Michelle. Really appreciate you being here out of your busy schedule. And we all know and appreciate your service on the weekly press updates on Wednesday afternoons at 3:15. So we will tune into those, and thanks for being here this morning.
No problem. Thanks again for having me.
Great. All right. And up next, we have Supervisor Ortiz Legg with us. Would you like to give a little update on what's going on at the county besides vaccinations?
Well, I want to say thank you to all of you and good morning. Nice to be here this morning. And thanks to Michelle. She's just, that team is working so hard to keep everybody updated. And I think there's no surprise that it's a ball that's, you try to chase it and then it goes over here and you got to go over here. So that's part of the challenge that we had. The fact is that throughout the state, throughout the nation, people are going, where's our vaccinations? Where's our vaccines? And, the goalposts keep changing. It's very challenging with the logistical pieces to say, we're going to have all these people work on these sites. And then all of a sudden we find out we only have 900 vaccines. That's like in your own stores, all of a sudden you have to change direction. And because something changed that morning, and then so we're continually ramping up. I think the good news is that, I had Michelle's boss in here while she was making her presentation, Mike Hill, who is the director, and we were just talking and watching things. And one of the things that Mike just brought up is that very soon this will change again, whereas the federal government is going to really mandate through the pharmacies, through the doctor's offices. So we won't be the only game in town. There will be a lot more places to get your vaccine. And that, as soon as the production of the vaccine ramps up, these things are being put in place to logistically distribute in a much more effective way. So I wanted to say that. As far as what's happening here at the county, besides the fact we have all these great people working as fast as they can to try to take care of this piece, what I'm working on is taking the hints from some of my friends who have provided feedback. The Ready SLO has been really good about the health pieces, but we still don't have one aggregated site for economic support. And so we've hired an outside consultant to start working on a marketing plan, and really with Aiden, who you all met before. Aiden Beals, my assistant, who's got a really great knack at social media and website development. He will be helping streamline the Ready SLO site for economic information from throughout the county. And so we're going to promote that and push that out so people can have a one-stop shop in a sense as well, to try to and keep it updated. I mean, that's the other part. There are places that have some information, but things are changing so quickly, and particularly the fact that, again, the federal government, the state government is starting to push out all these funds. It's going to be really important for folks to be able to find out where they can get their support and information. The second thing is that on the agenda tomorrow, one piece that's probably pretty important to folks is that over $5.2 million plus will be earmarked for rent and landlord reliefs. And so there's a plan on how to send out the FEMA money, the HUD money that's coming through the state. And it's with our partners that we have throughout the county that will be helping distribute this large chunk of money. And so this is all kind of, it's all moving very fast, but it doesn't seem like it's fast enough, right? It's like, how do we do this quicker? And we really recognize that, and we're trying to make sure that the folks that are out there with people looking for rent relief when it comes out, and as well as small landlord relief, these are all pieces that we want to get out into the community. So hopefully we're going to have a 5-0 vote on that tomorrow, but I think is something that's really critical. And I'll stop there. I think, we don't want to overload, but I appreciate the time here. And if there's any questions, Bettina, I'd be happy to take them.
Well, thank you very much. That's very thorough. I look forward to seeing Ready SLO get updated. And I am super curious about how the rent relief will come down. So once that's voted on, do you think there will be like a set of parameters around how you apply, or what?
Yeah, that's funny you said that, because I just said that. Okay, so we're going to approve this money. I see that it's going to the different organizations, and that will be in the notice. You'll see that. But if I'm somebody that can't pay my rent, what do I do? How do I do it? And that's the kind of questions that we need feedback. And I think that, this is, as we've had conversations about our homeless services oversight committee, in a way this falls into that, but this is separate, and also in a sense, I mean, some of that money is actually going to be helping some of the stuff on homelessness, particularly during COVID, and the rapid response teams that we need to have out there. But the other part, for the people that are actually in homes and try to keep them in those homes, how are we going to be able to communicate that? That feedback, I think we're going to organize perhaps a small roundtable of people funnel through the HSOC to try to make sure that we're communicating the right information out there, because it is so huge to try to figure out what we're doing, and all, as well as making sure that those who are needing the rent relief meet the requirements of these funds, which is the part that's been my biggest education here in the couple months I've been here, is that just because we get $5 million doesn't mean that we can just help somebody that says my rent. It's like all so specific, and it's really tedious to the point where I'm like, this is crazy. And so I'm hoping to join together with some of those folks out in the community, whether it's anybody on this call that would like to join this group, but we want to create a roundtable of people that can really kind of roll up our sleeves immediately and say, county, you need to be talking about this, so we can have that kind of feedback, as opposed to having a once a month meeting with HSOC kind of a thing.
I wonder if there might be an opportunity to work with some of the businesses that have been most impacted and had to furlough the most employees or do layoffs.
Yeah.
In the sectors that were, totally shut down. I can think about restaurant servers or salon and barbers who went months without any kind of income.
I like that idea, because they know exactly, that their worker couldn't pay the rent or something like that.
The hotel industry, I think the hospitality and tourism, and some parts of our county have actually done quite well, but in other parts have been really just decimated. So,
yeah.
And I hope the EDD steps up as well. They should have some data and numbers about how many people are actually getting unemployment in the county.
Yeah. I agree. It's kind of like, we want to fix the problem. Do we know exactly what the problem is? Where does it go? Right? So we hear anecdotal things, but do we have the data and all to really drive home the solutions in a way that's going to be effective as possible? I would like to talk and circle back with you on that. And anybody else who wants to call the office or send an email, Aiden can put that information into the chat. It's not already out there. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us, and have a nice week.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Cheers. So I see that Courtney had to step off. Our representative from Cal Poly, she put some information about what's going on at Cal Poly in the chat. That's very helpful information. And speaking, as Supervisor Ortiz leg just was, about identifying the problem before you try to solve it, I spent my Saturday in a Zoom room with the San Luis Obispo City Council, or watching the San Luis Obispo City Council update their 2-year budget priorities for the fiscal year. That's 2-year budget cycle. It starts in July 2021. And I did this on my Saturday so that you didn't have to, although I'm sure some of you also were participating in that. So I thought I would just share a little bit of information about what happened during their priority setting process so far. So you can see here that the top priorities, which we talked about people taking that survey in November and December, this is the way that the results came through. So the number one thing that people were concerned about was homelessness, on the topic of what we were just discussing about rent relief and that type of issues. The second largest focus is economic stability, recovery, and resiliency. And then climate action, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then so on and so on and so on. Next, there was a session where people got together in a series of workshops. And we then, the information from that workshop then got disseminated out in another survey, and we got the chance to put little dots on what our priorities were. So in this one, happily, I was really surprised and delighted to see that downtown vitality actually got the highest number of dots in the community forum survey round 2. So that means that our community recognizes that downtown is critical to our economic recovery. And that was very, very exciting. And so going forward, the City Council went into this goal setting period on Saturday, and it was about 6 or 7 hours of really thorough, great conversation. I appreciated the fact that I was able to attend on Zoom, because I was able to do a couple of other things while I was doing that, but I was able to capture some of the draft goals that they set. And I'm very careful to say that these are draft, because there will still be wordsmithing, and we'll invite some other people from the city to speak on this if they're available. But the most important goal for all of us, I think, is this major city goal of economic recovery, resilience, and sustainability. So the draft, as it was at about 1:30 on Saturday afternoon, was, in collaboration with local partners, continue to support economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and support a thriving local economy by supporting local businesses, art and culture, downtown vitality, practicing fiscal responsibility, paying down unfunded pension liabilities, and investing in critical infrastructure. There are going to be 3 other goals: diversity, equity, and inclusion, housing and homelessness, and climate action and open space. So our downtown, as a microcosm for all of the things that happen in a city, will have elements of each of these major city goals. So it looks like downtown vitality will not be a major city goal the way it was in the last 2-year budget cycle, but we'll still definitely have some resources. And there's no doubt that City Council understands the value downtown vitality plays in our economy, and that our community really values downtown as we move forward in the recovery. So with that, Lee Johnson joins us every week. And Lee, I hope that was helpful information, and we'd love to hear from you about what else is going on in the city this morning.
Yeah, Bettina, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, morning.
Yep. So yeah, I was just going to cover a little bit the draft goals, which you did, and thank you. So those will
sorry.
No, it's okay. It's great. They will go back to the council on the 16th on consent. Just there'll be some final wordsmithing, commas, and that kind of stuff that then they will approve. If there's any changes, those will come about. Then from there, the city team starts building the work programs and all of that stuff. It then comes back to council for their review to make sure we're on the right track, and works its way through the budget process. I think it was a great session on Saturday. And there were some things that came up, and I think the council tried to stress, particularly around like homelessness and things. There's certain things the city can do. There's other things that are outside our purview, but the focus will be on doing everything we can that's within our control. Otherwise, that's kind of about it from my end. Looking to see the COVID numbers as they come out tomorrow. You know, there's still some hope that we can bring some of the metrics down into the place where we can have the chance in the coming weeks to move forward. But we were trending in the right direction across the board until last Tuesday, which we took a little step backwards. So we'll have to see which direction we go this week, and then we'll have some more visibility from there. And then I see Jeff has a question on the parking structure. Yeah, the parking structure is a tough one because the parking fund has been pretty hard hit by the pandemic. All of the free parking that we do all the time when we don't charge for the parking, that directly hits the parking fund's bottom line because we still have all of our costs. We still have to do all the other things we do as far as maintenance and things. So it really comes down to how are we going to be able to fund Pomo to Pomo? What's the timeline on that? How much risk do we want to load into it? So that will be a discussion that will be had over the coming couple months and figure out how to move that forward. Otherwise, that's end of the report for me today.
Do you think that the parking garage will be in the work plan that's being developed around the major city goals right now, or?
It would definitely be in the work plan, but as to the timing, like it's in the work plan now, we're still moving it forward and still working on it. As to the timing, it's a bigger question because we have to build up the parking fund again to be able to get the financing and all those things. There's the possibility to basically borrow money from the general fund in the short term to get it started. All of that is, as we do the resource allocation, becomes a question. And then, you know, there's balancing things like in the major city goal for economic recovery, resiliency, and sustainability. One of the highlight points in there is continuing to practice fiscal responsibility and paying down the unfunded pension liabilities. So there'll be choices around where resources go. And those are long discussions requiring a significant amount of public input. Let's put it that way.
Great. Well, if you would like public input on that, we would be happy to provide it on these calls, I'm sure.
We will get a lot of public input, I am fairly certain.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Lee. Appreciate it. All right. Up next, we have our new downtown sergeant. Sergeant Jason Dickel is joining us from the SLO PD, and we're looking forward to hearing a little bit about what's going on in the downtown world of public safety. How are you today? Good morning.
I'm well, Bettina. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Good.
But if I didn't get a chance to meet or talk with all of you on the last meeting I was in, my name is Jason Dickel. I'm your downtown sergeant, which means I'm your liaison between the police department and you guys. So I'll put it out again, but I'll put out my email address and my work cell phone number for you guys. And I also have a desk line. My general hours in the downtown are Wednesday through Saturday nights, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. But I'm also available at any time. It's usually best to get a hold of me through my email. It goes straight to my personal cell phone. And like even right now on a Monday morning, I could get those messages, and I'm usually pretty good about getting back to you. But just so you know, your police department's still working hard in downtown. We actually devoted a lot of resources in the last couple months to downtown. We understand that there's at least seemingly an uptick in negative, nefarious behavior in downtown. A lot of it, I think you could tie into, Prop 47 and some of the restrictions we have locally at the county jail system. If you're not familiar with Prop 47, that was a realignment and release of a lot of people, and also the decriminalization of a lot of tools that we would use. Your police department would often use things like drug possession and other similar smaller crimes in order to solve the problem that you're having today, whether it be people that are harassing your business or customers or something like that. Often, those are the other things that are associated with a lot of those negative behaviors with some of those people. And that's the thing that we could act on. It was something simple, just having use. Not that long ago, if you were in possession of methamphetamine or heroin, it was a felony. And I could arrest you and book you to jail for quite some time. And then it would really solve a lot of the problems in downtown. but under the current legislation, it's a ticket. I write you a ticket for your heroin or your methamphetamine, and you walk away. And so we understand that that doesn't really help the problem with what you guys are calling in about, but we're super limited. And so we turn to other tools, other smaller crimes that we could arrest and book people in jail on to at least solve the problem. But due to COVID, we have more restrictions there now. So equally as frustrating for us as we show up to your call to help you, that we, even if we could prove or at least have probable cause to think that the person committed some misdemeanor crime, I can't even book them into jail. So the jail is just not accepting anybody right now. And that's a policy of the sheriff. It has nothing to do with the police department. We have no influence on changing that. And it's under the guise of COVID-19 and protecting the 457 inmates in the current jail population from COVID-19. And so for just about any misdemeanor crime, I can't even arrest you or book you into jail. And then it's already just a ticket if you're in possession of drugs. And so it's really tied our hands on what we can do. We just can't do much. And so often you might call us and we get there in time and we're talking to the person that you are having an issue with, and you see them walk away. And it's because we can't do anything. And so it's been really challenging for us. We're trying to work through it. Some things that we can do for felony crimes, we could still book people into jail. They don't tend to stay there very long because the jail doesn't want them there. They want to get them released as soon as possible. So things like bail going down to $0, or even right now, the bail for the bail bondsman, typically they used to have to pay a 10% fee. So if you had a $25,000 bail, you'd pay 10% of that to the bail bondsman. I've been told the bail bondsmen are accepting 2% now. And so they carry a few $100s with them and they could bail out. And so it's certainly a problem. And so that's why you see more people out and about that you probably just called the police on yesterday. It's because they're not being held in jail for very long. And so it's, like I said, it's equally as frustrating for us. We try to work through solutions as best we can, try to get creative with the things that we can do. But we also have to operate within people's rights and the Fourth Amendment, and then certainly with what our local jail is able to do for us. They're also working hard out there and trying to do the best they can for you guys as well. But so that's kind of where we're at right now. So to combat that, what your police department's been doing is we've been trying to throw resources at it. Although we're strained, just like everybody else, we have people out sick, we have people out COVID leave. We have far less people working right now than say we did a year and a half ago. But we're just working our people pretty hard. So the expectation's super high, and we've been fielding people in the downtown. So downtown specifically, you have 2 nighttime bike patrol officers, 2 daytime bicycle patrol officers, a community action team officer who's teamed up with a social worker. It's also known as our CAT team. You might have heard or spoken to them before. Their job is primarily just to try to get services to some of these people. They spend a lot of their time in downtown, dealing with a lot of the homeless population there, trying to get people services, help, housing, relocation back to where they're from. These are the things that they're out there doing. You also have a field service technician, which is a non-sworn position, but she still wears a uniform. You'll see her in downtown on a bicycle. She's dedicated to some non-essential services in downtown for you guys. And then on top of that, you might have seen a lot of cops out on foot. All through the holidays, we had 2 officers per day on overtime just to have a presence right in downtown, so that people coming through for the holidays and doing some holiday shopping can feel comfortable, and there could be a quick response if there's any problems. And currently, we're fielding 1 officer every day on overtime in downtown. So you'll see them out there on foot patrol. So the best way to get a hold of us is if you have an emergency, call 911. If you have a non-emergency, as in something that you don't need an officer to respond with lights and sirens, call our non-emergency line. If you're not familiar with that, I'll send it out as soon as we're done. But it's 805-781-7312. Still rings to the police department. Police department's open 24 hours. And it goes straight to the same place that the 911 takes you to. but it's just limited from emergencies. Or if it's an idea you have about how to combat some of this stuff, and then you'd like to work with me on it, I'd be happy to take that call. Or you can email me, and which many of you have, and I appreciate that. And we're working forward with trying to figure out a way to work through some of these issues. So that's basically the update from the police department right now. If there's any specific questions, I'll be happy to take those. If not, my email address will go out along with my phone number, and feel free to reach out to me whenever you like, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you so much, Jason. We really appreciate the update and the thorough description of what you're dealing with. I have a little tip, and I think I may have learned it from Sergeant Phillips, actually, is I put the non-emergency dispatch number in my phone under AAA dispatch, so that it's the first number that shows up when I'm looking through my contacts, so I don't have to like scramble and try to find it. So there's a little helpful tip for all of you out there.
A great idea.
I'm curious if you can, you at the beginning of your remarks, you sort of mentioned that there's been a perceived uptick in activities downtown. We know there've been a couple of visible things that have been covered in the media, including some break-ins and such. Have you observed a change, a trend downward in the calls for service to downtown since we went back into the purple tier and there's more sort of general activity happening in the downtown?
As far as without looking at the numbers, Bettina, no, I don't know specifically, but it does help. As things open back up, as businesses open back up, there's more people to call or even be around to witness some of those things that were happening when the downtown was closed. And while your downtown was closed, your police department was, as much as they could, driving through or even riding through. The bike team was still getting out on the bikes, even though everything was closed, with the hope that we'd deter some crime. But, unfortunately, like I say all the time, we can't be everywhere all the time. I wish we could be. We're getting better at that with the camera systems that are available. Your police department even has a drone program now, which is great. It's still kind of specific now. The drone technology is still pretty new. But so I think, anecdotally at least, yes, I think it's down a little bit in the last few weeks because people are out and about again. And that's really helpful.
Great. Well, thanks for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you the next time you join us. And if anybody has any questions, you can throw them in the chat, or if you want to put your email address in the chat, that would be great for people to reach out to you directly.
Absolutely. I'll throw it back in there.
Great. Thank you. All right. Well, we have got just a few minutes left until 11 o'clock. So we've had a lot of really great speakers this morning. Up next, we're going to have from the SLO Chamber, Jim D'Antona. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Good morning, Bettina. How are you? Doing well over here. Thanks for having us. And wanted to just throw out a couple quick things. Know we're almost done in time. Is get open. We have our survey open for businesses. It's a regional survey. It's going out to it's gone out to the community. It's closing this Friday. So if you have not had a chance to take it, we'd love to get your feedback. This, again, we're looking at how businesses are being effective now with this new purple tier from North Santa Barbara County all the way to the North SLO County, and all trying to understand all of those pieces so that we can work with our government partners, both at the city level, at the county level, on what are the things that are needed most and how is it being affected. So if you get a chance, you haven't taken it yet, go ahead and jump in there and just take a quick survey. It should take a few minutes, 5-6 minutes, and be able to give us all the information we need to kind of continue to help serve everyone. And additionally, we in partnership with the city put out the small business grants. We'll be announcing all of that today, all the grantees. There were 100 grantees of $5,000. There were 525 applications. Obviously we didn't get to everything, but big props to the city, the community foundation. We worked together to find another $81,000 to give 81 $1,000 grants on top of the $100, $5,000 grants. So again, a huge prop to the city for knowing I think this makes about $841,000 they've put into our community over the last 6 months, 5 months. Yeah. So those things, that announcement is being made today. All of the awardees should have been notified. We did notify them on Friday. And so we're just getting ready to get all that money out into the community. And we know we couldn't get to everyone, but know that we really tried to focus on those who had specific government or the rules created a hardship for their business. So that's all we got here today.
Great. Well, that's amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that information about the 81 additional grants. And I can't imagine how hard it is to say no to people who really need it. So that's exciting that you were able to say yes to more than you originally intended. And we are coming up at 11 o'clock, so I'm going to zoom through the rest of our Zoom slides, if you will. We have some exciting news. With the purple tier came the arrival of outdoor dining, and that means that our downtown dine out program in Mission Plaza, the tables and chairs are available right now, along with some other really fun activities. We have the Tunnel of Local Love, which you can see that'll be up through February 14th. And one of the pods had a Disco Ball 2021 New Year's Eve theme and now has been swapped out for the Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, matching the cultural banners around downtown. So February 12th is the Chinese New Year, and there's a really fun pod there, the Tunnel of Local Love, and then there's a new mural backdrop that says "Someone in San Luis Obispo loves you." So encouraging people to come to Mission Plaza and also to fill out their wishes. We've collected more than 85 wishes so far, and they're on display in our front window. Really fun community art project. Just a little bit of light and hope for this new year. And if you walk by our office at 1135 Choro, you can see them in the window. And Mission Plaza, it actually looks a little different from this photo because we have the Tunnel of Local Love and the Instagram pod with the Year of the Ox. But we do have tables and chairs, so you can get your takeout, go over there and enjoy. So we are not going to have a meeting next Monday, February 15th. It is President's Day, so our office will be closed. And our next meeting will be February 22nd. I look forward to seeing those of you who are on the board of directors at our board meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30. All the rest of you, look for your ballot, which will be coming to you from Election Buddy. It'll come to your email so you can vote for our board of directors. And if you have any other questions, we are happy to help you at any time. You can email us reach us at downtownslo.com. You can call us, you can text us, you can send us a carrier pigeon, you can Instagram us. We're available to you. And we look forward to having a great week. And thank you for joining us this morning.